Last year, Pray for the Devil came out, a PG-13 exorcism film in which a lot of people said they're sick of exorcism films. Well, guess what? Hollywood didn't listen, and here we have a rated R version called The Pope's Exorcist. What do I think about it? Well, let's discuss it. The Pope's Exorcist follows Gabriele Amorth, the Vatican's leading exorcist, as he investigates the possession of a child and uncovers a conspiracy the Vatican has tried to keep secret. The film stars RussellCrowe, Daniel Zovatto, Essoe, Franco Nero, and many others, and was directed by Julius Avery, who has done films like Overlord, Samaritan, and Son of a Gun. The Pope's Exorcist, this was the fifth and final movie that I saw this past weekend, and after watching 4 movies prior to this movie, I honestly was just looking for anything really half decent, because the first 4 movies I saw, some of them weren't very enjoyable, they were just kind of meh, a couple of them were okay, but most of them just really didn't hold my attention that much. And for The Pope's Exorcist, knowing that RussellCrowe was in this film, I was at least hoping that it would be half decent and would at least entertain me. So the film, it's based on 2 books. An exorcist tells his story, and an exorcist more stories. It was filmed in Ireland. You have RussellCrowe as the guy that does exorcisms, and he is charismatic. He's funny. He likes to drink whiskey. He's not your normal priest that you would see going around doing exorcisms. And what happens is, in the beginning of the film, he performs an exorcism in which he takes the devil out of someone and he puts it into a pig. And I have to mention this, if you're an animal lover, a pig does die in the beginning of this film, and it's very bloody and violent, so I'm just going to get that out there. After he performs this exorcism, he ends up going back to the Pope, and the Pope is very upset with him. The whole church is upset of how he actually performed this exorcism. And really nothing else happens to him. He doesn't really get punished or anything, but he ends up going on to another assignment in which a boy is apparently possessed in Spain. Now, before RussellCrowe actually goes to actually rescue this boy and actually perform an exorcism, we're introduced to this family, this woman. She has a daughter and a son. And the son, he is mute, he doesn't talk. He was involved in an accident in which it killed his father. And they end up taking up this old Spanish house, and they're going to fix it up, and then they're going to sell it. They come all the way from America. And we don't really get a lot of development with this family. We know that the daughter and the mother don't get along. The daughter is very rebellious. She's very rude. And there really isn't much else as far as a relationship. The boy we don't know too much about either. I would say if we're talking about actually developing characters amongst a family here, I don't really think that they're really developed as a whole unit. And it is a little bit hard to care about their characters in certain portions of this film. With themes like love, sacrifice, and spiritual representation, you can say this exorcism film is kind of your run-of-the-mill film. If you've seen any exorcist film, you know that you're going to have someone that's possessed. They are going to have that devilish kind of voice, which the little boy, his name is Henry, has. And I did like the makeup on Henry. I thought they did a really good job actually having that in the film. And I think that the devil here, he definitely does mock a lot of people. He antagonizes a lot of people. He gets under the priest's skin. So before RussellCrowe's character actually shows up, there is another priest that is actually trying to help Henry. And of course, he fails in doing so. And then you have RussellCrowe actually come into the picture and they work together. But the devil knows how to mock the people that are involved trying to perform this exorcism, and he does ways of actually digging up their past. We get to learn things about RussellCrowe's past and this other guy that he is basically his assistant, I would say. I do think the film does use its R rating to a T here. There's nudity, there's blood, there's cussing, and the devil holds no punches when he is speaking. A lot of the stuff that happens in this film, you've probably seen in an exorcism film before, like the devil actually being possessed, obviously, and walking up a wall. We've seen that in many movies, but I think here the film does focus centrally on the devil here, and more so on this child that's been possessed for a majority of the film. But I also think what keeps this film at least somewhat interesting is RussellCrowe's character and the other assistant with him. I think those two characters are the most developed, and that's the most that you're going to get out of this film. If you're looking for development out of the family here, I just don't think that it's quite there. But I think as far as a narrative and what this film is trying to do, I do think that it's at least somewhat interesting to keep the narrative going, and it at least has some humor here and there. RussellCrowe, he is definitely someone that is really outspoken for a priest. He also is a book writer, and he writes a book, and someone asks him, is his book good? And he goes, yeah, it's a really good book. So he has that little bit of humor to really add into the film. The film has those dark kind of moments, and of course, for some people, this may be really scary. I wasn't really scared of the film. I've seen a lot of exorcism films, so I really thought this film, it definitely portrayed for some of the tropes that you would see in an exorcism film. I don't think it's really doing anything new, and I will say also that there are points in this film where there is a lot of CGI, and it doesn't look very good. It looks kind of cheap. They may have ran out of budget in that aspect, but I think that the way that they wrapped up this film and what they were trying to do in this film, especially spiritually, especially with the mom, with her not being very spiritual, I do think that they really hammer those points home, and I think overall this is a solid enough movie. I don't think it's a great movie, but I would give it a score of 3 out of 5. But let me know in the comments, what did you think about The Pope's Exorcist? If you haven't seen this movie, is it something that you're going to check out? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys on my next review.